At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
When it's filled with all that water,
yes.
How do you move that little thing?
That's a 2-inch patio block. We could take it out.
But there's
and throw
gap
it away.
between the block and the white pole.
Sure.
There's air. There's not. It doesn't rest on it.
This is the plaintiff, John Paradis. He says he was hired to install an above-ground pool on the defendant's property, did the work, and now the defendant won't pay him. The guy's just angry at the world. He deserves to be paid the $1,572.16 he's owed, and is suing for exactly that today. This is the defendant, Robert Lala. He says the job the plaintiff and his men did wasn't professional. Things were crooked. He cut into his deck without authorization, and he left sand and screws all over his driveway. When he called to complain, the plaintiff was rude to him. He refused to come out and look at the job and said he would not be fixing any of the problems. With that kind of attitude, the shoddy work he did, he refuses to pay a penny more. He's accused of not fooling around.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
You see to come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Paradis, your company installed a pool at Mr. Lala's house, right?
Correct.
All right, what kind of pool was that?
An above-ground swimming pool, a 15 by 30 round pool. He bought the pool elsewhere and hired us to install it.
Oh, so your only role was installation?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a written contract with him?
Yes, we did.
May I see the written contract? So you entered into the contract May 12th?
Correct.
When do you install the pool?
May 18th.
Okay. And who installs the pool?
Michael.
Okay. And when you get there, is there a problem that pops up?
Nope.
Nope?
Nope.
Okay.
Robert was there in the morning when we went there to install the pool. We talked about installing the pool. He was going to be going to work, so he wasn't going to be there while we installed the pool. He had already had a previous pool there before, so there was an existing deck. We talked about how whenever you retrofit a new pool to an existing deck, it's really hard to make it line up perfectly because even though it might be the same size, they're always a little bit different shaped. So you might have to modify the deck a little bit just in order to make it fit.
And what did he say?
And he said that was fine.
Okay, now that's the crux of this lawsuit.
Exactly,
He's
yes.
angry that you modified the desk. Why is it that you guys, if he's there, you're there, and this is there, why don't you just have that be one of the things that they signed here?
It is the top one, ma'am.
Point to where the issue of the deck is, because he claims he never authorized, right? Isn't that your position?
Absolutely.
You never authorized that? You didn't know they'd modify the deck?
When I thought they brought a truck, shovels, I thought that site was going to be excavated. It was not. So
what do you
in
mean
other words,
excavated?
in other words, so what happened is this is the original pool, ma'am. So if you notice how the deck overlaps the edge of the pool.
Ah, gotcha.
So that is a recycled pool I installed in 2010. And
This is why you got to be there when anything's
This is why you have to
But
be
you
there.
really do. You have to be there. And then people think they can go
Ma'am.
to work, and then decisions are being made without consulting you. And
My mom died.
according to you,
yeah.
not according to you, but
I was running back and forth to cancer treatments with my mom. My mom passed
except
away.
for you were going to work that day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was going to work that day because there was state testing, so it's kind of mandatory that you're
Okay,
there.
yeah, so you were going to work.
Yeah.
That's where you were going. It had nothing
Yeah.
to do with the cancer treatment. I'm sorry about your mom, but
Yeah.
that really has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Go
Okay.
ahead and go over there and show me what you guys did.
The new pool is taller than the previous pool.
Right.
So that's why if you go to the newer pictures, the height of the pool there is up here. Obviously, we can't put that pool underneath that existing deck.
Well, that's what he did. He
Yeah.
just, I guess what he's saying is, I expected you to come in there with a backhoe and
Yeah.
excavate. Is that
Exactly.
anywhere in your contract that you're going to go in there with a
No.
backhoe
It's-
and excavate the pool to lower it to, no?
It's illegal to drop the pool down. Had he mentioned this at the site inspection, can you drop the pool
Where
down?
did you
to
get the
match-
impression that they were going to excavate when that's not in your contract?
Because I had other estimates who said it was possible. We never actually met to do the estimates. He came out. He said, yeah, it looks good. Everything should be a go. I explained to him during that conversation what we had planned. I also
Okay,
had...
you have here, you circled what you say shows that he agreed that there would be modification, except for that what you underlined doesn't say that. What you underlined says the homeowner understands that the new pool will not match any original decking and may require additional carpentry, which is not included in this proposal. That's different from he gave me consent to modify his deck.
But he gave verbal consent. the
I
morning-
understand, but why don't you just add it into the contract? That's so easy to have him, homeowner agrees that deck will be modified. Especially because you're not even raising the price to modify the deck.
Because we generally do not do deck modifications.
Then
And
why did you? Because look at you now.
It
Now
was-
you're in court.
Okay, but he did get verbal permission
hear
to
me?
do it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just get it in writing so we wouldn't be here? You should have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just say that.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, then I'll get off your back. Now, you tell me how what you want looks better than what they did. They married it in and it looks perfect. Why are you angry?
I feel like it's a tripping hazard. I feel that, like, if, Mike, I have 2 younger kids, that having a seamless entry looks much better. And I have a deck above it, so looking down, I was trying to get the effect of an in-ground pool without having to pay all that money.
All right, so this is a concern for you.
Yeah, and the deck started, it was immediately when I saw the deck, I was like, okay, all right, there's an issue. So I started pulling back the gravel under each buttress to take a look at these specific pavers.
To see, because you wanted each of these things on one of these concrete, which
Exactly,
is what,
and they were.
Which is what's supposed to happen. So why
Right.
is that like that?
Sometimes the pool shifts over an inch or two when the pool fills up. When you
So
have
you're not there when the pool fills up?
No, not completely. No, we fill it until the liner is set, which is a couple of inches of water, and then it takes hours and hours for the pool to fill up on a hose.
When it's filled with all that water,
Yes.
how do you move that little thing?
That's a 2-inch patio block. We could take
Right,
it
so,
out
but
and
there's
throw it
gap
away.
between the block and the white pole?
Sure.
There's air, there's
Sure.
not, it doesn't rest
No.
on it?
No, there's no structural stability that
So why
affords.
does it exist at all?
Because
Because it's
easier.
77 linear feet, and the way you get 77 linear feet level is you break it up into 4-foot sections, and he uses a transit to shoot all those blocks.
Okay,
It's
you
used
guys
as
got
a
to take
leveling
care of that.
device.
Now, you're mad about this. This apparently has a solution, and they
Simple.
told you that earlier on. You're mad about this,
It was the op.
and you say you never gave them permission to do that.
And the opposite buttresses on the other side of the pool, if you keep going. Yes, right. So if you look down, per the installation, this is a copy of the pool manufacturer's installation. Those buttresses are supposed to be done on a straight line,
Right.
and they're off.
So you can see that 1, 2, 3, number 4
Exactly.
is off. What's
So-
that about?
That's normal settling. The ground's got to settle. That could be adjusted as well, but none of
That
these.
has to be adjusted.
None of,
How do you adjust it?
It's a cosmetic issue. It is not a structural
Well, it's
issue.
gross.
We just prop up the buttress.
You don't have to empty the pool either.
Generally, we don't have to know.
Okay,
That's
well,
why it's not
he wants
resting.
it fixed because
It's
it
not
looks
resting.
bad. If it was your house,
We're-
you wouldn't have left it that way. If it was your house,
we
you
are
wouldn't have left it
happy
that
to
way.
do that.
He wants
We
that
are-
fixed because it looks bad. You wouldn't have left it that way in your houses.
Nope.
And then what else is a problem?
Just that the fact that as soon as those buttresses aren't in line, it voids my warranty.
Why would them complying with that void a warranty?
It's not. So since those are offline.
No, once they put it online, then you're fine.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And
Right.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
you have an absolute right to have these things
Yep.
corrected. But what you're doing instead is you kept half of the contract money. So you got a pool for half the price that your kids are enjoying, and I know that.
Can I address the warranty concern?
Yeah, no, not in the middle of my sentence. Go ahead.
The conversation that we initially had, I said, John, just come out. Let's talk about it. And
Yeah, and then he came out and you talked about it, right?
no, he never.
Oh, let me see if I got this straight.
Yep.
You went to work and said, see you later, install my pool, and you didn't bother telling them all the things you wanted?
No, I meant that after everything was done.
Tell me
they called.
why,
Yep.
if you had such a specific idea in your head of how you wanted the deck to overlap, et cetera, why didn't you talk to him and tell him that day, hey,
We
this
did.
deck
We had a
better
conversation
overlap?
on my deck before I left to work, and I work 1 mile away from.
And you said
and
to
I said,
him
just
what?
give me. I said, if there's any, I said.
No, but did you tell him how you wanted the deck to
Absolutely.
overlap instead of meeting?
Absolutely.
This is why you guys should never be touching anybody's deck without something. I'm sure you got. Are you two related?
Yes.
What's your relationship?
He's my son.
That's the only reason you still have a job.
No.
No? Because I don't understand why you're getting into something that could cause such a heartache without something in writing.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
he keeps saying that he told me that he wanted the deck to overlap the pool. That's
I'm not even sure he
That's
said.
impossible.
Just a second. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure he said that.
Yeah. No, he did, and I addressed it with him that isn't possible. The pool that he has.
Oh, you mean that
is
morning?
taller.
You're describing
Yes,
that morning?
That morning.
That morning, he
That
says, I
morning
want it
it
to
was addressed.
overlap. And you said, that's not possible.
It's not
and
possible.
he said what?
It's a taller pool.
And he said what?
And he said, okay,
How much had he paid you for installations?
1,200.
He put a deposit down of $1,200. The total job was $2,550.
$2,550? All right. So he had paid $1,200. So he owed you $1,350. So you would get a pool for half of what you thought you'd get a pool installed. But how's that the right solution? How is it right to cheat them out of half of their fee?
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Is it a good idea or a bad idea to hire a friend, say, I don't know, for a construction job?
Bad idea.
Why?
Conflict of interest.
Why?
Well, if it was my friend, then I would probably want to be nicer to them, and if they screwed me over, then I'd feel pretty bad.
But then you know them a little better than a stranger.
You know, bad idea because it depends if who your friends are. Unfortunately, my friends, I wouldn't trust them to make a cup of coffee. So, no.
They say the same about you, I'm sure. What do you say?
Bad idea.
Why?
People's feelings might get hurt if you don't like their work.
Or their wallet.
Or the wallet.
Going inside the courtroom.
It's not only the fee, but what we would take now for another company to fix all the aesthetic pieces. You know, we spoke the winter previous, and I thought we had an unbelievable report. And I still truly think he's a good builder. But I just feel like on this particular circumstance that like all he had to do is take a drive back out to my house when he had this conversation and talk to me and say, what can we do to make this right?
And what did he do instead?
He hung up the phone and said, pay me. I said, John, we can figure something out. Those were my words. And he said, well, if you're not going to pay me, then that's it.
I'm sorry. So he refused to go out and look at something before you paid him? Is that what you're saying? Like you said,
Exactly.
you need to come back and look at it, and
Exactly.
he wouldn't go unless you paid first, and then he'd go?
Exactly.
Is that accurate?
No. He spent 45 minutes on the phone screaming about this deck. When I finally got off the phone and told Michael was screaming back at me, Dad, I went over all of those. I told him I would cut the deck. Paul and Casey were there. We have affidavits that they signed.
Yeah, let me see Paul and Casey's affidavit.
That heard the conversation, and he said fine.
So I know, but you're the owner, right? And you've been in business how long?
41 years.
How many pools? Oh my gosh, how many pools have you put in and all that?
Between 12 and 15,000.
Okay, so how hard is it to go to calm the crazy person? I'm assuming, I'm not saying that you're crazy. I'm saying you have an irate, angry homeowner.
I'm an airborne infantryman, ma'am.
Okay.
I've been called.
No, but who would call? Nobody would say anything but thank you for your service after that.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna call you crazy. If you were a lawyer, I understand.
Trust me, my wife does.
But
every
what I'm
day.
saying, what I'm saying is like.
Yeah.
The best business practice is to go and visit him and try to smooth over the problem so that you get paid. He's saying you wouldn't go there unless...
No, that was completely made up, and all the stuttering should let you know that. I told him I'm happy to go out there.
And he said what? I don't want you on my property?
To fix it. He talked about the deck for 45 minutes, and I explained we can't do anything about the deck, and he was angry about that.
Right.
These issues that he's bringing up now, these cosmetic things, weren't the issue. The issue was the deck.
No, the big issue was the deck, but he brought up those issues with you on the phone.
And I said we're happy to fix them. We're still happy to fix them.
I know you're happy, but you didn't. Why didn't you just go out and fix them?
Because he sent a letter forbidding anyone to be on his property and told us we can't be on his property.
How fast did that letter come?
Way after.
So on June 28th, which is a month and a week later, this letter in regard to the certified letter I received on June 28th. Upon our last speaking by phone, your office was to contact me to schedule an examination or survey, and they never called me with a date to survey. There are 6 major flaws in the installation. This job is not complete. I did not give consent for my existing deck to be cut. These discrepancies will need to be fixed, or I will pursue legal action, as I request for you or your company not to be on my property. See, what I'm wondering, why didn't that happen between May 17th when the pool was installed and June 28th?
There were several phone calls. I told him I was willing to do the work, but I need to get paid, and he continually...
So you did say you needed to get paid before you do
No, he continually said, I'll pay you if I'm happy, and I said, that's not part of the contract.
Yeah, so it does sound like you were worried that he was going to play you, you wanted to get paid, so you weren't going to go out and fix the stuff, which you should. You should have gone out. That would have gone a long way towards
We should have got paid on the day of the installation. That didn't happen. That's fine, but we need to get paid, and we're happy to do the work.
I understand. There's one big problem. That's what he's debating, which you're showing me affidavits, and he's testifying he did so know we were going to modify it. That's one problem. 2 very different problems are that it's not straight and that thing is not, which you say are 5-minute issues. I'm telling you that not only as a businessman, all right, but legally, you should have fixed that. And then if he didn't pay, you come to court. But what you did instead was you decided to hold him hostage, and that's why we're in court. He was never going to pay you. If those 2 things were fixed, maybe this would have gotten resolved. I don't care. I got to be here anyway, dude. I don't know how often you spend time in court. I imagine you don't want to spend time in court because the time you're spending in court, you're not installing pools, right? All right. So I know if I was dealing with you and you said to me, those are 5-minute fixes, but you got to pay me first, I wouldn't want you on my property either. Now, you are suing for the $1,350. What's the $25 owed for late fee?
It's just a billing fee. It's on the proposal.
And $197 owed for interest at 1.5% from
Also
June?
on the proposal.
Okay. Here's what's going to happen. I find that in the light most favorable to you, there was a misunderstanding about the modification. I'm looking at the modification, and in my estimation, it's an improvement. If you're going to tell me that the agreement was they do it exactly like this, I'm not going to believe you because it was impossible to do it exactly like that. So I find that that's not a problem. I find that the other 2 things you brought up are a problem. And we can do this one of 2 ways. If you had brought me an estimate from another pool company to fix that, I would award you that estimate, but you didn't. So do you want to have them come back and fix those 2 things? Because they'll do it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to order you to comply with the rest of your contract and to fix those 2 things. And I'm going to order you to pay the amount that they're asking for because they are correct. The $1,350 plus a $25 fee plus 1.5% from June until today, because that's exactly the contract that you signed. That is how we were resolving this case. Good luck to all of you.
So the plaintiff, as long as he does what he's been ordered to do by the judge, he's going to get paid. You're going to have to pay him.
Yeah,
you're going to have to let him in and let him make those corrections.
Absolutely, and that was never the issue. The issue was coming out to my property and fixing what was supposed to be correct.
Well,
and then,
you're going to let him come now, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and then he's going to get paid.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, your kids will enjoy the pool.
Oh, and they have been, and that was never the dispute. We felt the pool was safe. It was just cosmetic issues that...
You're still not happy with the other side around?
No, absolutely
so
not.
bad.
Yeah, something
okay.
like that.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
dokes. I thought you were going to lose this case for a moment. I really did, but you lucked out. So you're going to go out and fix it for him?
Absolutely.
And it's a 5-minute fix, basically, 10 minutes?
Each problem.
Each problem?
Sheets, yeah.
You're finally going to get your money. And maybe you've gotten some advice on contracts. What do you think?
I think if we had to put every contingency in a contract, they'd be about 20 pages long.
Well, maybe you ought to do it and you wouldn't be in court. Good luck to you. Congratulations, okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, Doug, it turns out that the pool guy came back to fix the pool, and they have rekindled their friendship. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from McDonald's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a hamburger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the plaintiff, Tammy Eldridge. She says she paid the defendant for a room for her daughter to live in. And less than 2 months later, the woman kicked her daughter out. She cleaned up the room and even got down on her hands and knees and scrubbed the floor. But the sneaky defendant refuses to return her security deposit. And she's here in the name of justice, suing for the $1,083.87 she's owed. This is the defendant, Julianne. She says the plaintiff never paid a security deposit. She paid for first and last month's rent. The plaintiff's daughter was a slob who left open and rotting food in the room, and she stunk up the whole place. Bottom line, the plaintiff's daughter moved out early, leaving her high and dry, and she's not required to give her any money back. She's accused of refusing a rent refund.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff paid the defendant for a room for her daughter. The defendant kicked the kid out. But the defendant says the plaintiff's daughter was a pig who left rotting food in the place. It's the case of I owe you nothing.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Eldridge, this is your daughter?
Yes.
And you had decided to put your house for sale and help her with, I guess, her first apartment, was it, or not really?
Yeah, she just needed a room for her to rent.
Right. Is this the first time she moves out of the house?
Yes.
Okay. And how old are you?
25.
All right. So you found her a room at your place. Are you a tenant or?
I own a house.
Okay.
And I rent rooms, usually have 1 or 2 roommates at a time.
Okay.
To help with expenses.
All right. So how did you find her place?
We found it on Craigslist.
All right.
She's actually local.
Okay.
In town. So.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of in your backyard. So.
Right. Okay. So you find her. You look at the place. You look at the place. You like it.
Yep.
You're excited. It's your first move out.
Yep.
A little bit. All right.
Yeah.
How'd it go? Not so good. What happened? Well, let me ask you. What happened?
When she moved in, I noticed things little by little as far as the uncleanliness, things like leaving poop on the toilet seat, leaving rotten food, the smell from her room.
Rotting where?
In the refrigerator. There was also food in her room, and there was a smell whenever she opened the door. I did try to talk to her about these things.
What'd you say?
That she just needed to clean up, do a better job cleaning up and helping, with that by cleaning up after herself.
And
she said, okay. And when she didn't, I did talk to her mother, since her mother, was the holder of the rent and the payer. So she said that she would talk to her, and she did talk to her. She came over, she cleaned, and it got a little better for like a day, and then it continued, and I decided that I couldn't live like this. So I did tell her that the lease would be ending on November 30th.
When did you say that?
October 3rd.
Okay. And what was your response to her when she said, look, I'll give her until the 30th?
Well, she had called me the second time to say that Alyssa was not doing what she was supposed to do. She couldn't live with her anymore, and she needed her to be gone, even that we wanted to try to keep her till January or February so she could finish school.
Right, but when you say she said, I need her to be gone, she didn't say, get her out of here today.
She wanted her gone.
She said
She did-
November, end of November, right?
She said she could stay till December 1st if I didn't find her a place to stay.
Are you saying, listen to what you just said, so I want to make sure that you mean to say that. She said you had a choice. She could either stay until December 1st or you could find her another place right away? Is that what you're saying she said?
Yeah, she said, I can't live with her anymore, but I had just paid October's rent, and she had the first month's deposit. So technically, Alyssa was paid up till December 1st.
Right. What was it you said to her
I told her she had till November 30th because I understand that I can't just kick somebody out.
Yeah, but did you ask her to leave sooner if she found a place?
I did not.
Okay, so if she said to you 2 weeks later, you thought it would take longer to find a place. What did that mean? If 2 weeks later she said, we found a place, then what?
If she had communicated with me and not moved her daughter out while I was at work and just sent me a text message saying she's moving her out, and then a few minutes later I got another text message saying I'm gone, then I would have had communication and notice and been able to try to advertise the room and take care of things sooner.
Okay, but you had immediate notice that day when you got home or got the text, which was all in the same day, so that didn't delay things.
But she was already gone.
I think what you felt was you felt like it was leaving in the middle, like it was surreptitious or something, and it bothered you.
Yeah, it wasn't really that it offended me. It really shocked me. That I was stuck
it gave
at
you a lot
work.
more time, though, to advertise for November.
And I didn't,
It gave you immediate time. It gave you the soonest time possible to advertise for November. Did you advertise for November?
I did.
And you weren't able to re-rent?
I did not get
Did you
time.
re-rent it for December?
No.
January?
I did not.
February?
I had the roommate
March?
that had moved out, moved back in because Alyssa had moved out.
Okay. Now, Alyssa, I'm going to take it to you, honey. What is that? The mattress? What is that? My daughter's room? What is that? These are not good ideas. These bring ants and bugs, and they're gross and smells and et cetera, et cetera. All right. So you move out and you ask her for the last 2 weeks in October back and November back. And she says what?
She said, yes, but I don't have it right now. You'll have to wait till I get paid.
Okay. So you did originally agree to return it. What happened?
Honestly, I originally agreed, and then I read up on what my rights were and that I could hold on to that rent because she had broken the lease. So that was my understanding of it. I do want to say, too, the room was not left in sterling condition. It smelled awful. I had to air it out by air
pictures of
fresheners
that?
just for the room.
It's hard to give me pictures of smell.
Yeah, you can't put a label on the smell.
Why are you so messy? You're 25. Why aren't you cleaning up after yourself?
So, generally speaking, are tenants slobs?
Well, generally speaking, I can't say yes or no. Actually, it
Okay, then who can? Okay, who can?
No, it depends on the person.
Okay.
I'm a tenant, I'm not
You're
a
a
slob.
tenant?
And I'm not a slob.
Do you leave crap on the floor?
No, I do not.
Do you leave stuff on the floor?
No, but...
Oh, everybody's so lying down here. Going inside the courtroom.
I will admit I do have issues occasionally. I do suffer from anxiety and a learning disability.
Oh, and I'm anxious. You know what I do? I clean like crazy. And no, I'm serious. I'm not making fun of you. I get anxious and I clean like crazy because it is one area of my life where I have control. You see? But when you are living with other people, you have to have consideration for the other people, whether the other people is your mother or the other people is a landlord. You know what I mean? There's no written agreement, by the way, for the tenancy, right?
No.
Is there a check that has the rent payment on it that says what it's for?
Yeah, I have all 4 of them.
May I see the checks and see, are you a memo line writer?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
First and last month. September rent, October rent, food replacement. So you added another $50 to the rent because she was complaining that she was taking her food.
Yes.
Did she ask for $50 or you just didn't want to have a problem?
She just told me, I said, well, what was it? And she said, a can of spaghetti, pasta, and sauce.
Wow, that must have been some can of spaghetti and pasta.
There were other things as well, cookies, whipped cream, peanut butter, just whatever she wanted to eat of mine, she ate.
All right.
So after that one, to answer your question, when I had that text and said, when are we going to send it, she goes, I'm going to send you the check next week. And that's when I got the certified letter saying that I had broken a verbal contract. So I didn't leave a voicemail telling her I was disappointed because I felt like we'd had a working relationship. There was never any animosity or swearing, yelling, anything. Actually helped her out on a couple of different occasions. And then I even said to her, I said, if you want, just keep October's rent, just give me back the $600.
I think that's the right thing to do. I think that it was a very kind of loosey-goosey discussion between you two that makes it hard for a trier of fact in a court of law to say, well, she definitely kicked her out, or she definitely gave her permission to leave early, or she agreed to stay until the end of November. It's much more amorphous than that. You're already there, you're in the middle of October. She could have stayed until the end of November. She ended up moving back in with you, right?
Yes.
Right. And I'm going to order the return of the November rent. I think that's the right way to resolve this. So no, I think I'm going to return the last 2 weeks in October and the November rent. I think that's the right way to resolve it. Because once the landlord lets you look for another option, I think that that's kind of permission to go ahead and look for another option. So I'm going to order the $600 from November as well as $300 for October, which is half of October. So I'm finding in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's my judgment. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the judge decides you have to give $900 back to the plaintiff. What are you thinking?
I am okay with that. That is her decision, and it's not what I agree with the Connecticut laws, but I'm going to take it because that's her decision.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Hope you rent the room out someday.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The door is that way. Thank you very much. Ms. Eldridge, I guess you're feeling better at this point.
Yes, I am. Very happy.
Interesting. Interesting case indeed. So you are now in your house.
Yes.
And you indicated you're trying to get her on her own. Are you having luck with that?
Sometimes, yeah.
What are you going to do?
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
She's 25. She does have some learning disabilities, but she's taken them head on, and she's graduated massage therapy school and waiting to take her MBLEX.
Okay.
So
well, good luck to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Harvey?
Okay, it may have worked out for the plaintiff here, but when you deviate from the lease, whether you're a landlord or a tenant, get it in writing. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
This is the plaintiff, James Cavada. He says he was at the dog park with his schnauzer, Doggie, and the defendant's bigger, aggressive dog attacked his dog and broke 2 bones in his leg. The defendant's dog has a history of being aggressive at the park. She was negligent in exposing him to other, more vulnerable dogs, and he's here suing her for every penny of the $4,727.94 vet bill. This is the defendant, Nick Thompson. She says she feels badly the 2 dogs got into it at the off-leash dog park, but she did nothing wrong. Everyone knows you assume some risk by letting your dog play with other dogs. Everyone knows dogs can sometimes fight, and everyone knows you can't go in and sue in court for something like this. She's accused of causing a doggy dilemma.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says his dog broke his schnauzer's leg, but the defendant says it was an off-leash dog park, so the plaintiff assumed the risk. It's the case of Doggie needs Doogie Howser.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
James Cavada?
Yes, sir.
ma'am.
Okay, according to you, Nick Thompson's dog was roaming free and attacked your dog, correct?
My dog was running with another dog. They were just running circles around the park, and she shot the tennis ball. And as opposed to going after the tennis ball, her dog went after my dog and attacked and bit his leg.
Okay, what were the injuries to your dog?
Both of the bones in the front paw were broken, Judge.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And so you ended up with a vet bill, and how big was the vet bill?
$4,700.
Why was it so big? I mean, broken bones, I got it, but why was it such a hefty bill?
They had to put a metal rod to to reset the bones, and I'm not really sure how vet bills work, so I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, was your dog roaming free too then?
My dog, yes.
Or were you guys in a dog park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is this a dog park?
Correct.
All right, an official dog park?
Yes.
Okay. In your answer to the complaint, you say the plaintiff and I were at the same unofficial off-leash dog park. What did you mean?
So it's not like a gated park. It's just a park in the local, it's a section of a park.
Where you all just decided to let your dogs roam free?
No.
Or the city decided to let you?
The city says it's a off-leash dog park.
It does say that?
Yes.
Okay, and but there's no fencing?
No, there's a stream that surrounds it. And there's fencing along the private property that it's adjacent to.
Okay. So now, according to you, did you see it coming? Did you see the attack?
It happened very quickly, so.
As these things do.
Yes, and it happened, far away from where we were standing.
How far is, what do you mean?
50 yards.
Okay.
I don't know.
And so what did everybody do when it became apparent that this was not playing?
So there were some surrounding people that went to the dogs and just acted really kind of aggressively to separate them. And
like meaning what, that they're pulling them?
Yeah, like they ran towards the dogs, and I know from training that, dogs relate to people and the aggressiveness of people. So people came after the dogs, so I think it was worse because they didn't know how to break the dog fight appropriately.
Okay, well, your dog did a lot of damage.
Yes.
So you give him your number, and you call after the vet bills come in, and you ask for half of the vet bills, correct?
That's correct, Judge.
All right, and you originally had said, yes, I will pay half the vet bills, right?
I did say that.
And then you said you'd pay $100 a week to achieve that because you didn't have all that money at once.
Right.
And then what happened?
I was unemployed at the time and due to an injury and disability, so I just didn't have any extra money. And I tried to explain that to Mr. Cavada. And I was willing to do anything to, make up for damages, but I just...
How? I mean, what does willing to do anything mean? I mean, what he needs is money.
Yes, I know.
Willing to do anything but pay money, right?
I was willing to pay money, but it just wasn't going to be
Has your dog ever
enough.
bitten any other dog?
Never.
Never?
Never.
All right, now according to you, you have evidence that this is not the first time that her dog bites another dog?
So when the dogs are off leash, do you kind of assume the risk?
Yes.
Because?
Well, you're just letting your dog in, and then anything that happens is based on what they do.
You agree with that?
I agree, because I think if you're letting your dog off the leash, you should know that they're not likely to do that. If they should be on the leash, if they are going to do that, you should assume some responsibility, I think.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
I have witness statements regarding to 3 other dog attacks.
3 other dog attacks?
No, I'm not aware of 3 dog attacks.
Are you aware of any?
Never. No, my dog doesn't attack.
All right, let's see what you got. According to you, she has been told not to go back to the dog park, so you should have something official that says that. What is this?
Those are statements from other
No, they're
park
not. They're just typewriting on a piece of paper. Nobody signed anything. What are these? They're not affidavits. They're not sworn to, but they're not even signed. They're not even. This is just typewriting on a piece of paper that you could have done outside. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Well, this is your whole case, though. When you say you understand, I'm presuming that these people, if they exist, who are so upset that they wrote letters for you for me to read, would also have called animal control, and there would be some official evidence of what you're saying, a prior attack. It was a cold and snowy day. We were the only 2 dogs at the park. Java and Wally. Java's your dog?
Java's my dog.
Java and Wally were playing together when Java started getting a bit rough. We separated the dogs, and Java's owner stated she didn't like that Java would sometimes play roughly because or 13-year-old son played too rough with the dog. Do you have a 13-year-old son?
No, I do not.
Do you have any children?
I have a son. He's 22.
Okay. Java has shown what I would consider a high prey drive. In other words, a tendency to hunt, attack smaller and/or fast-moving animals. Since 2018, I have known Java to have gone after or attacked the following dogs. Sammy, a yellow Labrador retriever. Duncan, a 1-year-old Cavachon. Any of this thing around?
I'm not familiar with any of that.
Okay. You got anything official that proves that this dog... Look, this case rises or falls on the following, all right? When you are all at a joint place that you're both there voluntarily for, and you're both following the park rules, which is your dogs get to play at a dog park, all right? Anything that happens, you guys assume the risk. That means you assume the risk. You assume the risk because you understand we don't punish animals for being animals. They are animals. That is their nature. They do what they do. We punish humans for being wrong and for being negligent. So if you bring your dog to a dog park and, the dog bites another dog, that's it. One free bite. You're done. No more dog parks for your dog. Your dog puts a muzzle on. You don't bring your dog to roam free and take that risk again. So your entire case, every penny of it, rests on you proving to me that, in fact, that dog attacked somebody else or some other dog. The entire case rests on that. People prove that to me by showing the animal control reports, the police reports, bringing in the witnesses from those other cases, even bringing in affidavits. You have brought to me typewriting on a piece of paper. You're out of gas. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Well, Mr. Cavetta, I'm sure everybody feels sorry for you, but as the judge put it, you are out of gas in this case. You should have done some research before you came here.
Well, I believe that the other evidence that I had with her verbal agreement to the original half price wasn't brought up, and I think that's unfortunate.
Well, she mentioned that. The judge mentioned that.
Right.
But as she pointed out, you both take the risk.
Right. That's why I think it should be a shared responsibility, and I think it's unfortunate that it wasn't.
Well, unfortunately for you, it wasn't. How's your dog?
He's doing very well.
Even after almost $5,000 worth of vet bills?
Well, that's, whatever it takes. It's my, my companion in life.
Okay, good. Take care of him. All righty.
Have a good day.
You going to go back to the dog park, by the way?
Oh, yes, of course.
You will?
Yes, definitely. It's an open park. There's a lot of good dogs. It's very unusual to have someone that's negligent in that manner that would bring a dog there that does attack other dogs.
But they really were legit, people on that.
Oh, yes,
page.
100%. I didn't make anything up. I have no reason to.
Okay, all right. I'll ask her about it. Very good. Thank you very much. Ms. Thompson, let me ask you, what about all those people that he says that they were real, that have asked you to keep your dog out of the dog park?
I've never been asked to keep my dog out of the dog park. She's gone there hundreds of times and played. She was socialized.
So there's nothing to what he was saying about those other people?
No, dogs rumble and play, and she was just playing.
So you'll keep taking your dog to the dog park?
I have not taken her back yet. I'm going to figure out a solution on how she can safely play.
And he also said you offered to pay half.
I did.
Are you going to do it?
I just don't have the money, and I'd love to, and I feel awful of the scenario of what happened to his dog, his poor little Doggie Schnauzer.
Okay.
I do feel bad about that.
Good. Well, I'm glad of that. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Harvey, what do you think?
So, when a dog bites another dog, you still have to prove negligence. And maybe if there was a history of dog attacks by the defendant, there isn't a history there. There is no negligence, and that's why the verdict.